The deep blue sea has always carried both beauty and danger, a place where human ambition collides with nature's unforgiving limits. For freediver Stephen Keenan, the ocean was not just water, it was home. Known as one of the most respected safety divers in the freediving world, Stephen had dedicated his life to protecting others who pushed the boundaries of human endurance. Yet on July 22, 2017, in the haunting waters of Egypt's Blue Hole, it was Stephen himself who would make the ultimate sacrifice. His last dive was terrifying, heroic, and heartbreaking all at once. The Blue Hole in Dahab is infamous. At first glance, it's breathtaking, a natural sinkhole dropping more than 100 meters, surrounded by coral and shimmering with shades of sapphire and turquoise. But beneath its beauty lies danger. The site has claimed dozens of lives, earning the grim nickname Diver's Cemetery. Its most treacherous feature is the Arch, a tunnel that begins at around 55 meters deep and leads out into the open Red Sea. Freedivers dream of conquering it, but its depth and length demand perfection. One small mistake can mean blackout, disorientation, or worse. Stephen wasn't just another diver chasing records. He was a safety diver, someone who risked his own life to make sure others lived theirs. He trained in Spain, co-founded the Dahab Freediver School, and became known for his calm presence and unmatched ability to save athletes in distress. Many freedivers owe him their lives, but Stephen was also deeply passionate about freediving itself, pushing his own limits while guiding others. On that fateful day in 2017, Stephen was supporting Alessia Zaccini, an Italian freediver who had set her sights on swimming through the Arch. At just 24 years old, she was one of the brightest stars of the sport, already breaking world records. But this dive was different. It carried immense risk. The plan was simple, yet deadly. Alessia would descend over 50 meters, swim through the Arch's 26-meter-long tunnel, and then ascend back to the surface. Stephen was there to make sure she came out alive. The dive started smoothly. Alessia descended gracefully, her movements efficient and steady, her lungs compressed by the crushing pressure of the deep. At that depth, mistakes are invisible until it's too late. But Alessia was focused. She reached the Arch, slipped inside the tunnel, and swam toward the light of the open Red Sea. Stephen positioned himself strategically, waiting on the other side of the Arch to escort her on the ascent. This was standard practice. Safety divers often met freedivers at depth to provide guidance and support when oxygen reserves ran dangerously low. As Alessia emerged from the Arch, disorientation set in. She surfaced not directly above the exit, but veered slightly off course. At 50 meters deep, even a tiny mistake can be fatal. Stephen noticed immediately. Without hesitation, he swam to her, guiding her upward, his hand gently but firmly pushing her toward the correct ascent line. But something went terribly wrong. At around 30 meters, Stephen himself blacked out. Whether from hypoxia, lack of oxygen, or the immense physical toll of diving repeatedly that day, his body gave in. Alessia, still struggling, was unaware of his condition. Other safety divers rushed down as soon as they realized Stephen wasn't surfacing. They grabbed him, pulling his limp body upward as fast as they could. On the surface, frantic efforts to resuscitate him began. For long minutes, divers and medics fought to bring him back. But the ocean had already taken him. At just 39 years old, Stephen Keenan was gone. Alessia survived, saved by the very man who gave his life to protect hers. In interviews later, she spoke with heartbreak and gratitude, saying she owed her life to Stephen's courage. He had fulfilled his duty as a safety diver to the very end, placing another survival above his own. For those who were there, the scene was unforgettable. Fellow divers described a silence that hung heavy over the shore after the failed resuscitation attempts. Some sat in disbelief, staring at the water that had just claimed their friend. Others wept openly, struggling to reconcile the loss of a man who had always seemed invincible beneath the waves. The diving community in Dahab, tightly knit and bonded by shared risk, was shattered. News of Stephen's death spread quickly, sending shockwaves across the freediving community. He wasn't just respected, he was beloved. Many divers recalled how he had pulled them to safety in their darkest underwater moments. He was the person you wanted watching over you when you pushed yourself beyond the limits. To lose him in such a way felt almost unreal. The tragedy also reignited debates about the dangers of freediving. Why risk so much for the thrill of diving deeper, holding your breath longer? But for those who knew Stephen, the answer was clear. Freediving wasn't just about risk, it was about connection, discipline, and testing the very edges of human potential. And Stephen understood better than anyone the fine line between beauty and danger in the deep. Today, Stephen Keenan is remembered not as a victim of the Blue Hole, but as a hero. His final act was an ultimate demonstration of selflessness, sacrificing his own safety to ensure another diver lived. The freediving world continues to honor him through tributes, memorial dives, and stories that keep his memory alive. The terrifying last dive of Stephen Keenan reminds us that even in tragedy, there can be courage, love, and sacrifice. He entered the water as a protector, and in his final moments, he lived up to that role. His story is not just about loss, but about the kind of bravery that echoes far beyond the sea. Stephen's body may have been claimed by the ocean, but his spirit remains in every diver who enters the water, in every life he saved, and in every person inspired by his selflessness. He is proof that even in the darkest depths, light can shine.